Hey guys, from 2448, I'm right here. So we have a fixing project to do on my Honcho. Okay, it seems fine, right? Until I turn it around. There's a missing wheel. The wheel is right here. The axle's still attached. If you look, the lockout is still attached. The axle snapped. Thankfully, somewhere in here, I have a spare one. I don't know why I have it, but I do. Pretty sure the front and the back are the same. Hope so, because I only have one. But yeah, before I start, I'll double check that. Yeah, they look the same. So yeah, I got another one right here. That's what we're doing today. At the same time, I'm gonna probably re-grease. Probably gonna take out all the bearings out of this one and stick in new bearings, which I have right here from Acer Racing, and also stainless steel screws for that axle, which I have sitting here. MRC screws, great kit. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Just gonna bring you guys in close. Okay, zooming in, just gonna get going here with the ring grease, take off the battery, very big battery. Okay, let's remove the tire, won't need that. Be careful of that little pin in the hex, just gonna set that aside. Don't want to lose those, unless you have spares, then you should be fine. Zoom you guys in, just gonna remove that screw there, take off the link and the shock. There's a nut on one side, and then just hold it down with pliers or something and unscrew that screw. There's the nut. There we go. That's done. So just put the nut on the end of the screw, then you know you won't lose it. Take that one off. There we go. So take off, there's my hex tools. Take off the drive shafts. Take off that little nut there. There should be a nut on the end of that screw too. Make sure not to lose it. Like I said, just stick it on the end of the screw. Okay, so there's the axle. We got that out. Now let's get ready to open it up and replace it. So since there's no lockout on the other side, we can easily just remove that lockout. Take that off, set that aside, make sure not to lose those little set screws. There's the axle or drive shaft that comes from the diff. So the bearing still moves freely, so that's good. I did pack it full of grease before I ran it in the water, so that helps a lot. Okay, there we go. Take the link holder off. There's supposed to be 4 screws there, but one of mine fell out, so there's only 3. My hands are all dirty. They'll get way worse if I don't wear gloves, but I'm gonna put on some gloves here pretty soon. Might as well get them on, because it gets really greasy. There's a new axle compared to the old one. Get some marine grease. Awesome stuff. Really good on your bearings. Helps a lot. Get a nice glove. Apply it onto your bearings, your axle, and all over your axle case. Well, don't pack it full, or else you'll have too much binding, and it will cause friction, which will take power away from your motor to move the gears and stuff in there. So, got some new bearings. Just going to use a flat head to pry off the old bearings. Maybe a pain if you're having troubles, just keep on trying. They should eventually come off. So just get a little grease in there all over the bearing, stick it back onto the diff, take off the other bearing, take the new bearing, put some more grease on it, clip it back on, put some grease on the diff, smear it, spread it out, I guess. I'm using that little screwdriver just as like a Q-tip, I'll say. So just gonna put some more grease where the pinion gear comes in. From the drive shaft to the diff, that gear. Put some grease in there. Grease everything up. Marine grease will save your bearings and gears, because once your bearings blow and you don't notice, your gear will start slipping and you may have problems. You may strip your diff gear. So just gonna clean up the outside of the axle. Don't need grease out there because I don't want more dirt getting attracted to the axle. So, yeah. So I guess I can remove the axle from the lockout, from the old lockout. So, gonna put more grease on the bearings. Replace those bearings too. Might as well, since I have some here. Put some grease on the axle, just because if it starts binding on something, it's just gonna make it easier to slide and turn. Less friction, more power going to the wheels. Okay, so just gonna use my little bench to take off the bearing. And that's a tough one. Axle's coming along good. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna clean up around the axle again, just because it helps. Because if you leave grease on the outside of the axle, it will attract dirt to there and into your screws and all that. Clean up my mat. Always have a nice clean workspace, because when you get back to it for your next project, you'll be sure you won't have to. Okay, I'm just searching for screws through here, looking to see if I can find the right ones. But there isn't any for the grub screws that are used on the lockouts, which I'm kind of disappointed about, because those are the ones I need. But it's fine, I'll just reuse the old ones. I'm using a pair of pliers to pick up the screws I need, because it's easier than my fingers, just because then it's a pain to pick them up and pick them out. So just checking to see if it moves freely. Seems to work good. You want to make sure to not have any binding issues. When you put too much grease, it's going to cause more friction, as I was saying, and will give you less power. So just searching for some screws and some nuts. There we go. That's the difference. Stainless steel screws won't rust out. Okay. Okay, so just had to go run, grab something. Sorry I cut out. Okay, so just finishing up, putting the last screws on here. Finding them. Beautiful kit too. Stainless steel screws, the way to go. They don't rust as easily. They will eventually, but by then I can grab another kit. Yeah, it's really easier with the pair of pliers to grab the screw you need, especially with my big fingers. It's not easy. Okay, you can see there. You don't want that to happen. Okay, so got all of the axle rebuilt. Time to attach it back onto the truck. So I am going to use the stainless steel screws once again, just because it's going to be last longer, and they're much tougher than the stock screws, so they look nicer too. Seeing the stainless steel screws on there really sums it up. So, aligning the screws, put the nut on, hold the nut with the pliers, and tighten the screw. I couldn't find the exact same screw, but I found one close enough. Sorry you can't see there, but just trying to mount up the shock and the link. Okay, I'm just going to put the screw in and get it through so it holds everything up, and then put the nut on. So now nothing moves, it's all solid. Put the nut on, hold it with the pliers, and twist on the other end. Not too much because that will bend the plastic and may break it. Gotta thread this one in, put the shock, link, and then the nut, and hold it with pliers and tighten. There we go, that's all set up. It's good. Stick the dry shaft on, move the front tires to get the holes aligned. Set the set screw in there. There we go. So you can see I have a lot of play in the front. Yeah, I'll fix that another time. Attach the tires back on. Go. Getting it back on there. Make sure you have it the right way. Putting the other side in, the pin, the hex, and the tire. I use that little magnetic tool every once in a while just to pick up things. When they drop on the ground, I can easily find it. Just sweep that everywhere. So you can see I have a lot of play at the back too, but not as much as the front. The front, we'll have to play with that. Just took off the tire to see if I could see something that would be causing it, but no. Just gonna probably tighten some screws over here and stuff. Oh, and just looking at the pins, if it's that, sometimes the pins get used up and will break eventually. I broke one already. But yeah, so if you guys are scared of that, just attack it. Just remounting the ESC. I think one of my wires fell off, maybe. Oh, I put a new motor in a new ESC. It's a brush motor and a brushless ESC, so I had to widen the motor plugins, make them bigger so they clip in to the brushless ESC connectors. Just stick that in there. Yeah, so there we go. Grab some zip ties. Love zip ties. They can easily save you while you're on a trail run. Just use two, zip tied together, and then use pliers to bring it through and zip tied it down. Cut the extension off, and it's nice and snug. Won't fall off. See my little redneck bumper? I just stuck a plastic shroud on there. So yeah, thanks for watching.